And welcome back to another fantastic episode of Constructing New Walden City. My name is Dr. Wasabi, and in today's episode we are finishing off a big project, the New Walden Archive building. Yes, that is right. We are finishing off the New Walden Archive building. Now, for those who don't know, it's this ginormous kind of, a very kind of Gothic style building over here. For those who have watched the series so far, you will remember I did actually do a video on this, doing the exterior of the building itself. I actually did do some live streams a few days ago, I believe, just filling out the interior because I really want to get this out of the way. It really burns my heart having these buildings all husky and, you know, nothing inside them. Well, yeah, that's the term, we call them husks. But anyway, that is what we're going to be doing. So the main objective, I would say, of this episode is to kind of fill up the roof of this building like so. Make the director's office, which is going to be in this room here. Kind of put a bit of a shoe shine on this building. You know, make it really shine as a final product, in my opinion. And yeah, so I think without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do actually is fill up the roof of the, I would say, the second kind of piece of this building. The rest of it is just a cube, apart from this area. I did want to make it a bit more unique than that. For those who don't know, I actually visit a Instagram site called, I think it's like American Old World Architecture, something like that. They do these amazing this kind of historical photograph archives of these old buildings that sadly have been demolished about now, but you can still see the pictures of them, and one of them was really interesting. It was like a somewhere in New York or somewhere or other. Again, I probably said this in the previous episode, but you know what I mean. So for this build itself, I really want there to be a sense of continuity in the design, and that kind of proves itself at the top here. So you'll see these kind of widgets along the columns. I'm sort of replicating over here. Now, I didn't want it to be like completely symmetrical, so you may notice that the sides of the buildings themselves are actually thinner than the overlay. The kind of, you know, sticky outy bit that is on the top of here. The kind of facade, I think it's called. This one's going to be a bit further out than this one, and there actually is a real-life explanation for this. Like back in the olden times, a lot of people just didn't have the money to decorate the entire building, so they would have just decorated the front of the building just so it looks fancy for people to go in and shop, or, you know, whatever their business may be. For us, it's actually going into the archive itself. The next step of our kind of building over here is we've got to get out a separate clay block. For me, I'm using light grey terracotta instead of regular terracotta, and that kind of just adds a aesthetic color differentiation, I think, especially when you're playing with depth, as I am, for these kind of inlets, so to speak. So if I just run this across like so. Ba -ba -ba. Okay, so that is that side done. We'll copy that over in a second, but you will see the kind of continuity of design between these different floors of the building. So I'm just going to run this over like so, with the polished granite stairs. This should line up, I think. Yep, it does. Fantastic. So I'm going to do that on the opposite way. You always got to make sure if it if it lines up. If not, then you just have to kind of scoot it up a bit. But usually it isn't a problem. All it takes is some good planning. So we're going to bring this up like so. Da 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 da. Ba ba ba. Okay, nearly done. Okay, so that is that side of the building done. You'll see it's pretty much identical to the one down here. It just has less pillars. That is kind of what we want to go for. As long as it's generally similar, if not the same, building choice or design, unless you're doing something really kind of renovation-like. Like maybe it's a bit of a modern bit on top, maybe it's an old part of the building on bottom, then you just need to do this general kind of design philosophy. And oh, look at that, the moon's up, so I think it's time to sleep. Okay, so as dawn rises, so must we. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off this part of the building, just so we can kind of skip ahead to the roofing of the area so far. So I'm gonna bring you to a brief Intermission. Okay, so now that's done, we can actually focus on the roof itself. By the way, welcome back from that brief intermission. So we're actually I'm gonna aim to do a bit bigger in terms of the kind of air conditioning units that I usually do. Something on the lines of the Orbital Hotel over there, but not exactly a copy, if you know what I mean. So what we're going to do, we're going to get out some, let's see. Ooh, we could do some bedrock. I actually haven't used this block in a while, and by a while, I don't mean ever. Where was it? It was just here. It was just here, I swear it was. Oh, no, found it. False alarm, folks. So, we're actually going to bring this along like so. Make a little circle. So, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Don't make your circle too big. You always have to be very conscious about how big your roof is. Otherwise, you might oversize. You'll have the thing sticking out over the building. So we're gonna mix that with some cyan terracotta. Let's see. Okay, very nice, very nice. I think we'll have 2 of these on either side of the building. One here and one on the other side if we can fit it. Will that fit? Yes, I think barely. Let me just check. This is 4 to 8. What is the end of this? This is 4 to 9. Okay, so we might have to budge up a bit. But that's okay. I actually want this to be unsymmetrical. Just because I think it adds a bit more character. I try not to make things completely symmetrical, if that makes sense. For those who've actually listened to my live stream when I was filling up the interior here, you'll actually understand what I mean. And oh my goodness, it is nighttime again. Well, I think I'm going to put on some potions of night vision and get back into it. There we go, much better, folks. You know, sometimes it's better to be a night owl, or is it a night hawk? I don't know. Oh dear. So I think going with the sort of dark texturing we've got going on here, I'm going to add some mud as the sort of baseline void texture over here, like so. And then we'll add our turbines, which will be made from, I would say, we don't want it to be copper because that's too close to the actual colorations of the bricks. So we need something else, maybe like smooth sandstone. Not smooth, not smooth sandstone, just smooth stone, like so. How's that like? Okay, not bad, not bad. Maybe we add some acacia trapdoors, like that. Oh, not bad, not bad. Uh, is there anything else? Oh, yeah, that's good. We add these little rotator fins or what have you, just to add a bit more detail to it, in my opinion. Now, the last thing we need to do in kind of detailing this massive turbine, it is quite a big building, so I want to make the logic that, you know, they had some renovations, that's why it looks so fancy, and they've also gotten some nice big turbines for the director's office, as well as the kind of floors underneath, just so, you know, they don't get all sweaty during the summers. So now we need to put this on the other side over here. So if I go like that, it just about fits, barely. I can imagine they would have had some difficulty actually putting this in the first place, but I'm not going to put that much logic into it. Maybe, you know, renovations happen, some things get kind of isolated from the rest of the building. I actually want this to be part of the story over here. I'm going to put in maybe a bird nest or something like that. Just to show that nobody's been here in quite a while. You know, maybe it needs a bit of a maintenance store just so someone can go in and check if it's actually working or not. You know, that kind of thing. Okay, so that is the second turbine done. You may have noticed I've actually textured this one up. I really want to sell the idea that this is the less workable turbine. You know, maybe it hasn't had so much love as the other one over here, because I imagine it's a lot more in the open, it's more easily accessible. So maybe there's a door over here, but I really want this one to be a bit more weathered, a bit more rusty, but not like broken in a way. So yeah. So what I'm going to do now, folks, is I think I'm going to do a lovely time lapse where I fill in all of this kind of extra space with various kind of rooftop shenanigans, you know, turbines, electricity pylons, that kind of thing, the sort of junk you'd see on a regular building. A lot of it's just kind of waffle, building wise, so you just have to detail in, so it actually looks like a rooftop. You don't necessarily have to have a story for every little device that is on your roof. Just a little builder's tip. You'll see that on the other buildings like so, just like random bits of like electricity, you know, conduits and stuff like that, especially in Fallout. They have they literally call it like there's this like nonsense word that Bethesda uses, dongles. Yes, I think that's the word. They call them dongles, just to kind of place down and make them look, you know, fill up extra space, so to speak. So yeah, I think without further ado, let's get in to our time lapse. And we are back from that amazing time lapse, folks. But before I show you anything more, I just want to say, if you do like what I do, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Doing so helps spread my channel throughout the blessed YouTube algorithm, and of course it helps spread my content to you amazing, just fantastic folks. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've done here. So I had a really good idea that maybe the actual turbines themselves required a lot of power to operate. So maybe somewhere in the building, maybe on this upper floor, there's a big generator room, what have you. But I had these really nice idea of having these kind of, I don't know what you call it, these massive cables using the basalt block in kind of rows of three, just arcing through the entire rooftop and kind of held down by these massive, massive clamps, honestly. I had a great amount of creativity kind of doing this because, you know, sometimes the actual rooftops themselves can be quite a bit boring, so it is nice to kind of spruce it up a little and get some creative methods in there. And alongside that, I've kind of decorated this bit of a turbine with a lovely kind of bird nest, and who can forget the ultimate detail to any rooftop, bird poop. Yes, believe it or not, folks, bird poop is actually a roof detail on many of the buildings in my world. It's just realistic, because, you know, birds do what birds gotta do, so you will see a bit of a diorite here and there, but don't think about it too much. So as the sun sets, we are finally getting onto the interior itself. Now, I'm pretty sure I won't have enough time to do everything, so what I'm planning to do is do this room to the stairs and the CEO's office. That way I can finish everything else off and kind of upload it as a finished build. So the first thing we actually need to do is kind of break the wall between the building here and the stairways entrance to the top floor itself. The way I did this on the live stream is that I kind of made two separate boxes. That way I could kind of focus on each part of the building without having to focus too much on the grand design. So to speak. So we kind of shaved that wall down. So I think what we'll do is we'll have like the staircase over here. Obviously it'll be over here. A nice balcony, maybe a window out top here. There'll be some kind of secretary area with the elevators going up, and there'll be the CEO's office here, and then on top of here will be a lot of archives, computer banks, that kind of stuff, you know, because it's an archive, there is going to be some digital stuff, but given that this is Fallout, they're going to be very clunky computer banks and modulation towers, that kind of thing. Just kind of littering this kind of top floor area. And maybe we'll have like a few generators at the top over here. So I think without further ado, let's get on to it. So to start us off, folks, I've kind of done the main kind of floor pattern for this kind of part that we're doing here. So this is going to be the secretary's area where, you know, he or she will let visitors in if there's kind of executives of the archive. It's a very kind of strange thing when you're trying to figure out what the kind of like hierarchy is in buildings like this, because it's an archive. Obviously there's going to be like managers and directors and things like that, so it isn't probably as like cutthroat as you know most CEOs like Glowco over there. So we're gonna do the secretary's office first, I think. Okay, so the first thing we need to do in this room is just get in these wonderful little decorations I've done. I do make sure that any floor that has these kind of things are on every floor, because I want it to be a general theme in any building that I make, and this is part of it. Now, one way we're actually going to differentiate from that is we're going to change the texture of the tables. So on these floors, all the way to the bottom, we've been using tuff for the kind of dressing tables and what have you. This time for the top floor in the CEO/director's office, we're going to use smooth basalt just to kind of signify that this is a bit more higher up the ladder, so to speak. You know, there's more fancy stuff going on. You know, they can afford more lavish furnishings, so to speak. So it's putting in some file cabinets, what have you, just general filler, so to speak. So yeah, I think the first thing we're actually, well, not the first thing. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the desk itself. Now this is going to be pure basalt. Maybe they've had like a nice refurbishment, and you know, spent a lot of money on the CEO's office, you know, surprise, surprise, and stuff like that. You know, a lot of money on the computer banks to store all the data they've got on holotapes and holodisks and what have you. So we'll have something like that. Maybe a different block to separate it. So maybe some polished blackstone, like so, just to give it a nice edge to it. Let's see over here, over here. Lovely, lovely. Okay, it's looking pretty good in my opinion. We'll break that into kind of a 2-block gap kind of thing. And then we'll put in some bushes over here, a table here, and a filing cabinet over here. Now, is there anything else we could do? The only thing I think wait 1 second, there is one thing we should do. We actually need to add some actual seating. I mean, what kind of waiting area would it be if you could actually have a seat, sit down? So let's get out some. I'm gonna change the color of the cyan couches that we usually use, and I'll use something like maybe brown terracotta, just to give a bit more of a thematic change from the lower floors. It's a bit of a trick I like to do, just to differentiate different parts of the building. How does that look? Oh, excellent, excellent. So it still goes with the kind of pastel look we're going for in the building, but it isn't like gaudy. It isn't a gaudy color change in that respect. So we'll have 2 chairs like that. Maybe a couch over here if I break this. Now I think about it, it might be more room to put in chairs. It just depends. Obviously, the doorway needs to be considered and how kind of wide that needs to be for people to walk in without bashing their toe on the side of the chair over here. But apart from that, as long as we kind of add in some shelving and bookshelves, I think we're going to be alright for this room. Okay, so I've added a bit of book shelvings and just shelving in general to the walls of the building, and I think it looks pretty good. Sometimes a wall can be a little bit too bland, and I think the bookshelves add some nice colour in that regard. Let me just put one more over here, a full 4-block row like that. Now I think this is pretty much done, so without further ado, let's get on to the director's office. Okay, right, so after that brief snooze, let us get started. Was that English? I'm pretty sure that was English. Do excuse me. So again, the same kind of deal over here. Now we must be kind of logical about this. This is an archive. This is not like a multi-million-dollar, you know, company. So the office isn't going to be as lavish as you would expect it to be. You know, it's not like stereotypical, you know, pile of gold coins in the center, like some some Scrooge McDuck cartoon. But there will be a very much a stylistic difference, like so. So we're gonna have a big table in at the middle here. What else can we put in? A lovely, nice chair, maybe a dark oak chair, just to give him some lumbar support, like so. Okay, we're gonna have some papers kind of strewn around everywhere, because you know, managing an archive, you have to, you know, sign off and stuff. Maybe you get like some classified data and stuff like that. You know, when you're doing stuff as the director of the city archives and what have you. So we'll put in some chairs alongside. We'll put in some tables as well. Maybe some paintings. You know, he might have like a painting of his family or what have you. You know, just around, so to speak. So we'll have some bookshelves over here, some filing cabinets over here. I think this wall and this wall, they could be a wall of televisions. You know, just something to kind of detail-wise differentiate from any other rooms. Because again, we're not gonna have any time to do the kind of computer banks and stuff like that. So there has to be some kind of hook design-wise when it comes to something like a director's office. So I'm gonna do a bit of brainstorming, and I'll be right back with you. Now that is what I call a giant Fallout television. Now would you look at this? This would have been like a pre-war kind of, you know, like huge TV that only the most expensive people could afford. Over here we've actually put in a larger painting of the one we've done in there. You know, maybe it's a gift for the secretary, you know, who's maybe like worked for years under the archives and is finally being rewarded after a rather boring career choice. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this episode. I think the only other thing that I need to do is just kind of punch out some windows, just generally around the floors, just so there's a bit of continuity. Because if we go to the back here, there's just a blank wall that we probably need to fill out sooner rather than later. So there we go. And that has been our episode of constructing New Walden City. I'm so glad that you've come over here to watch my stuff. So thank you, thank you, thank you. My name has been Dr. Wasabi. I wish you a most pleasant good evening. And of course, as always, God bless.
And now, folks, it is time to say good night. We sincerely appreciate your viewing and hope we've succeeded in providing you with an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Stay happy and come back again soon. Good night.